Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new video interview, this time with Mark Jones from Choc Edge. I think it's a pretty exciting one, especially because I would say Choc Edge is one of the oldest, I don't know if that's nice to say for a company, related to 3D food printing. It's been around for a while, and I'm sure this interview is going to be really interesting to get to know a lot of their experience, history, and to know more about what they are cooking. Obviously, joining us from Frankfurt, Germany, Jason Masbacher. How are you, Jason?
I'm great, Louis. Hi, Mark. Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm as well really excited about today. It's been a long time coming. This part of the video interview series. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think we're gonna learn a lot about chocolate and 3D food printing.
And of course, the start of the show, Mark Jones. How are you, Mark?
Hey guys, I'm great, thank you. Great to meet you.
That's really good. So I think to kick off the interview, I think it would be great if you could introduce yourself for our viewers so they can start knowing more about who you are and what do you do.
Okay, say my name is Mark. I've been working for Choc Edge for a little over 2 years now. So I started in 2014. My role is a little vague. On my email signature it says I am design and marketing. I've really been involved with everything since I've been at the company. I was kind of brought on as like the first team member in the UK, the proper team member. And my role was really to help out a bit with the design, a bit with the printing, with events, doing all kinds of stuff. So marketing and design is mainly what I do. I've also been done a lot of work on the parameters we use for printing, and I've built our website, and I help out with the software and apps we use as well. So it's kind of, I mean, everybody does lots of different things at the company, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'm kind of got my fingers in lots of different pies in the company.
Cool.
You're quite the fixer then. That's a pretty interesting role.
The fixer, yeah. I think of myself as kind of like a handyman, like an odd job man. I don't know if you guys have know that phrase, but I kind of master of all trades. No, jack of all trades, master of none. That's the expression. I think is. But
that's a good way to.
I think the whole thing is jack of all trades, master of none is often better than master of one. But maybe I made that up to make myself feel better. But I don't know. Anyway, that's yeah. But that's kind of what I do here. And of course, I reply to these press inquiries as well. So I see my face a lot. I'm usually the one who gets pressed in front of the camera for interviews and things. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing.
But that's a little bit 3D food printing, I think, is doing a little bit of everything and putting it together, right? Like there's a lot of things that come to play. So.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's so new, and there's so many different skills involved. You kind of have to be here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, it's always good to have someone like you around who can jump in anywhere and lend a hand or pick up the slack if something needs to be jumped on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fun role to be. So right now you're sitting in the UK. And we know your name, Mark, and you're with Choc Edge. But for the people who aren't familiar with Choc Edge, can you go into kind of like an introduction, a little bit of brief history, and where you guys are at now with Choc Edge?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Louis said just then. He said we're quite an old company, which is true in a sense. The company proper started in 2012. That's when we became a limited company. But Choc Edge's roots go back to 2007. So if I explain a bit how it started and why we became a company and where we're at now. It started in 2007 at the University of Exeter in the UK. That's why we're based in Exeter in the UK and not in London. Our founder, Dr. Liang Hao, was a researcher at the university, and he was part of a team, and they were asked to come up with an idea for a 3D printer that used a material which nobody had tried before and that would be like really popular. And they sat around and thought about it, and the obvious answer seemed to be chocolate. They thought, well, everybody loves chocolate, nobody at the time had tried that, so they thought, well, that's cool, let's do that. So that's basically how it started. It was a research project at university. I can't remember, there was like a team of maybe 7 or 8 people, something like that. And it started off as like a really, big table-sized machine, and gradually, over several years, the project developed, and it got smaller until the point where they had like a desktop-sized model that was sort of comparable to a 3D printer you might buy in any store. So at that point, they thought, hey, well, maybe there's a business here, because at that point, it was attracting a lot of media attention and a lot of press, there's TV appearances and all that kind of stuff. So they said, right, we should try selling this machine. So that's what they did. So 2012, they became a limited company. Over the course of the next year, they started to sell like a prototype of the Choc Creator we have today. And they didn't do a lot of it in the next couple of years, because they were still at university, and it was still kind of, there was like a grey area between it being kind of like a university project and like a business. So when they really thought, right, we're going to move away from the university a bit, we're going to become like a proper fully-fledged company now, that's when I came aboard and started working with them. At the same time, I joined them in Exeter, and at the same time they started to develop a team in China where they would build and actually develop the hardware of the machine. I should say the founder of the company is actually Chinese, so they came over from China, was a researcher at Exeter University, developed the machine there. So there's kind of like this, that's where the link between the UK and China comes from. So it made sense for them being Chinese, and things being cheaper to produce over there, to build machines there, but still have a team in the UK which would help with the software development and the sales and the marketing and all that stuff.
Cool. That's quite a story. I think that's pretty interesting. I think
that's good. I feel like I rambled a bit there, but that's basically a university project, and then transitioned into a like a proper 3D food printing business.
That's really
cool. For myself, I mean, these are the things that really get my brain turning and my heart pumping, is to hear how it all started, because it's when you even start talking about 3D food printing to somebody, they just get this odd look on their face, and then to find out how people get involved with it is also something for me very special.
Yeah, I mean, I should on a tangent, I got involved. I didn't come from an engineering background. I didn't come from a 3D food printing background. I was completely unconnected to the industry, but by complete chance, I was working in a local museum in Exeter. I happened to meet the wife of the founder of the company who created the machine, and I got talking to her, and she said, we're working on this machine. It's a chocolate print. I thought, wow, that's so cool. I've got to help out somehow. I mean, at the time, I was doing a bit of like blogging and stuff about 3D printing, so I was interested in that technology. I thought, well, maybe I could help out a little bit with their Facebook page, or just do something to get involved with this cool project. But a few months later, I was working there, like I say, doing a bit of everything.
That's I think, at least from the few people that I know that are working on 3D food printing, I could say 99% of them started this way. Like
okay, that's good. Isn't just me?
Yeah, no. If it's anyone out there that has a 3D food printing company that can afford the luxury of having somebody with previous experience on that, like not because of the money, because of finding them. There's not.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's so new, isn't it? Nobody is doing it. So where do you find the people? So you have to,
I think.
There's not many recruiters out there who are specialized in finding 3D food printers.
Yeah, but I truly think like the what really fuels people working in the industry is like curiosity, and
yes.
I think that's the biggest point for it. Let me fire the next one.
Okay.
So I guess you already said it a little bit, but could you explain us a little bit more why back in 2007 they decided to print chocolate and not any other type of food?
I wasn't around for that discussion. I haven't really talked about it with them. I think it was just one of those things. It was like the first idea they had, I think, and it just seemed so right. I think, the buzz about 3D printing was really starting to happen about then, and it just, you say chocolate and everybody goes, chocolate. Everybody loves chocolate. So I think it was quite an easy decision. I don't think there was I don't think many ideas were thrown about from what I've heard. I think it was just, it struck a chord. Printing in chocolate, it seemed like something, as soon as you think of it, you think, well, we have to do that.
That's true.
So so from 2007, and the company was formed in 2012. So is that when printers started selling, or what? You mentioned they started selling prototype machines. Can you go into a little bit about who the machines were being sold to, and kind of the business aspect as far as from back then, what it was like to bring a 3D food printer, specifically a chocolate printer, to market?
Yeah, so 2012 is when they started selling the machine. Like I say, it was just a bare bones machine, really. The machine now has a case. This one was just a metal frame. I mean, it looks really crude compared to what we have now, but it was the end result of what they developed at university. And I think there was just so much interest from certain people, mainly enthusiasts and people who worked in other universities, to buy this machine, that it wasn't too much trouble just to build more of what they had already built and to sell it to the people who were asking for it. So I mean, at that time, it wasn't. I mean, it was the world's first, I believe, commercial 3D printer, a chocolate printer that you were able to buy, but we were really only selling it to people who were similar to us. So, like I say, people who are enthusiasts or other universities who were working on similar projects. So we hadn't really worked out our market by then. It was just we were responding to a demand from a certain group of people. So in that sense, it was relatively easy to sell those machines to those people, and we didn't sell a lot of them. The real challenge was, once we catered to that initial group of enthusiasts and academics, who do we target next? How do we make the machine better? Who actually wants this machine in the real world, outside of the universities, outside of the the fab labs and the 3D printing communities? Who would want this machine? So that's kind of what I started to look into when I joined in 2014. I mean, when I joined, they were still targeting that kind of small group of people and weren't really sure who their audience was or who they should be selling machines to. So when I joined, and with the other people I work with, we've slowly been working that out, and now we have a pretty good idea of who wants these machines and who to target, who to sell them to.
So who is that? Who's your target market right now? Who are you focused on pitching the Choc Edge to?
At the moment, it's sort of high-end chocolatiers, bakers, confectioners, and marketing companies. So for the people who already make sweets and chocolates and cakes and things, we sell the Choc Creator to them as a way to add value to their products by adding something unique, like a decoration on top of a cake, or maybe like a printed face on a bar of chocolate, something like that. For the marketing companies, it's more about the experience of the chocolate printer. So one thing we've learned is that regardless of the end product, people just love to watch the machine in action. It's kind of got this like crazy hypnotic power. People will just stand there for like 5 minutes and watch the machine while it's printing, even if they haven't bought the chocolate, even if they're not going to eat the thing it's creating. So it's that kind of experience that marketers want, and it's so unique, nobody else can offer that. So that's quite a good thing for marketing companies to have, and a lot of people seem to be interested in that, especially for things like trade shows and events, and that kind of thing. It's an incredible draw for those kinds of applications.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I admire the most from you guys is that by far you are like leaders in what it means, like bringing 3D food printers to market and iterate them. I'm really curious to know, and especially I think you just said like you were involved with that, so I'm even more curious to know like how do you picture, what do you picture was the main evolution points from the different iterations of the Choc Creator that you already guys push to market, especially having in mind those completely different target audience?
I mean, the main point we've been focused on in terms of developing the machine has definitely been making it easier, because you know, the thing is about the machine, it's so exciting and it's so engaging, but at the same time we've taken something which is already difficult, which is 3D printing, and we've made it a bit more difficult, really, by adding chocolate to the mix, because chocolate isn't a lot more difficult. Yeah, I might as well be honest here. Lots, yeah. Let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, chocolate is, I can't stress it enough. It is so difficult to work with, and we have
it's the drama queen of foods. The drama queen of food.
That's the perfect way of describing it. Absolutely, yeah. It's so fussy and so high maintenance. But yeah, it's chocolate is not easy. But so really, our aim has been to not only make the 3D printing side of it easier, but also to find methods and techniques and ways of making the chocolate easier as well to deal with and to prepare and to print with. Yeah, that hasn't been, that's been the most difficult part, really, is finding ways to make it more accessible to people who aren't from the 3D printing community. I mean, I've talked about how we're trying to sell it to cake makers and chocolatiers and people like that. But you know, those people have little or no experience with 3D printing or 3D modeling or anything like that, so it's quite a challenge to be able to deliver a product to them and have them to be able to use it, you know, without any great deal of difficulty or a lot of education. So ease of use is the main point we've been focusing on.
So can you tell us a little bit about that process that you go through, as far as, I mean, I guess the hardware design isn't so much adding to the ease of use, besides you know, cartridge reloading and you know, making sure it isn't the size of the old projection TVs and things like that. But can you go into a little bit as far as the design process to design for an entry-level person who's going to be introduced to 3D food printing for the first time through Choc Edge, through the Choc Creator, kind of the process that you take to design for that person?
You mean
I
like
don't know if that question made sense. I'm sorry. So, I mean, do you do testing with people? Do you because I've looked at a couple of the apps, and I think they're definitely, you put a lot of thought into it. But what initially goes into trying to design for somebody who's new to 3D food printing to use your product?
The main part of the design we've tailored towards the people who are new to 3D printing is you have like an LCD screen now on the machine, so you don't even have to connect a computer to it. You can just give them a stick with designs on it, or software to make easy designs, and it's all the instructions come up on the screen. So you know, you've prepared your chocolate, you load it in the machine, and then, you know, the machine takes you through it step by step. That has really been key to getting over that initial hurdle of people using the machines, in terms of sitting down with people and actually working with people to find out where the problems are in using it. I mean, we've taken it to shows a lot in the past, and we've got people's feedback there. I mean, the people on the team, like myself, I say I didn't come from you know, like a lot of people didn't come from a background of 3D printing or food. So in a way, I kind of, and the other, my colleague Anthony, who does design as well, we both didn't come from that kind of background. So, you know, as we've been learning to use it, we've discovered things about the machine, you know, difficulties and problems we've encountered are the problems that, you know, anybody else would encounter if they didn't know about 3D design or 3D printing or anything like that. So through the learning process of us working out how to use the machine, we've discovered a lot, which has helped make it better for the entry-level people to use, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's so you were able to add your own contribution, not only through helping out with the back end stuff, but also through the feedback of making it work for somebody like yourself who hadn't been involved with it before. That's pretty cool. I like
And
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I
I'm
like
sorry,
the
can I
step by step. Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
no, I was just going to say, sorry, I'm talking over people. You know, I think actually having a couple of people who weren't from you know, that specific background come on board and help work with the machine and develop it, even though that wasn't really our original intention or what our original roles were meant to be. I mean, it was pretty essential, I would say, because before myself and my colleague Anthony joined, you know, everybody who was working on the machine was an academic, and they were engineers, and they weren't food people, and they were working in the ALM department of the university. So they, you know, I don't make anybody sound bad because they were smart people and did a great job with the machine they made. But I feel like they couldn't see the wood for the trees a little bit. It needed a couple of idiots to come on board and you know, use the machine and find out what was difficult about it, and then find solutions to those difficulties.
I'm really curious, and I want to. Maybe you already talk a little bit, but I would truly like to know two things. First is like how you actually design for the machine, and the second one is that can you actually design through the screen that the Choc Creator has in it, the 2 Plus? Is that what you said? Like you can actually.
That's not possible. No, we have
Okay.
we have apps which the customer can use to create their own designs, simple designs, and then they can be sent loaded into the machine via USB stick or
Okay.
via, you know, a computer
Okay.
connection, or even wirelessly. It has Wi-Fi connectivity. But in
That's
terms
good.
of designing for the machine, we have a few apps we ship out to customers. We have a couple of web-based apps which allow people to create. It's very simple, but it's one of the main things that people buy the machine for is text. So people can just type in something using this app and click a button, and it extrudes it into a 3D STL that they can then download and generate the G code and print it using the machine. I mean, there's a few steps in that, so you have to make the model, which is easy. You also have to generate the G code for the model using our Choc print software, and then you have to send it to the machine, so that's kind of like a 3-step process. But more recently, we've also released for our customers an Android app. So that's called Choc Draw. So it's very simple. You just draw onto a tablet using a stylus, and then you can push a button that says print. And if it's connected to the printer, it'll print automatically. It's quite an incredible thing. It works. It's seamless, and anybody can do it. So that's kind of the pinnacle of our simplicity at the moment in terms of the design process.
That is something really cool. I think that's definitely the tools that allow more people to get into it and to reach that market that maybe they don't have the experience about 3D printing, or they don't even want it, but they want to print chocolate. So that's kind of a really, really neat. I think it would be awesome to get to see more about that. I don't know. Do you guys have more information about the application or some videos about it? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure I can. I'll talk to my colleague Anthony later, and I'm sure we can send you a link or send you the application itself if you want to try it. I know you don't have a printer, but you could see how it would work.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, one of the things that Lewis is strongly passionate about is designing for 3D food printing. And I think you address a few factors that we always bring up when we talk to people about it, is being able to relate the design app to them in a way that will allow them to be able to use it right away. So with 3D printing in general, you know, it takes hours to get involved or to get your result. A lot of people have addressed it through apps similar to what you talk about. When you start mixing in food, it gets more complicated. And that's cool that you're taking that next step and you know, creating apps like that. So yeah, so we have a broad outlook on 3D food app design, because, you know, we've seen a lot of them in ours. You know, specifically the ones, I don't know if you've seen any of the ones that are on 3D Zero Cooks, but they're a lot different than a lot of other people's, but because we think about it differently. But I think that's a great way to approach it, and I'm sure not long before you have some type of Connect device and you're waving your hands and shaping your chocolate exactly the way
Oh,
you
that
want.
would be amazing. Yeah.
I haven't patented that idea yet.
Just let me write that down a
pitched
second.
I've already pitched it to Lewis 1,000 times. Just slip on a glove and put your Google goggles on, and then shape it right there, and then push print, and there you go. But as far as apps, let me see. How do I want to say this next question? Are you guys designing all this stuff in-house, or are you having contractors help you with it, or do you have your own software engineers?
Yeah, so we have our own software engineers in China. So the web apps were something that was done by a contractor a long time ago, and then, I mean, it's quite a simple app, so I finished it off and put it on the website. I mean, it was pretty basic HTML5 web app. The stuff that's happening in China is, proper coding, as I like to think of it. It's, we're looking at Android applications, just the Android application at the moment, but I think there are plans to do other stuff as well. I'm not sure, but we have an in-house designer over there who works on that. Really.
Why did you choose Android? Is that what a lot of your users use, or is it just a start?
It's just a start. Hopefully we'll have an iOS, Apple version at some point in the future, but at the moment it's just for Android. I wasn't part of the discussion when they made the app. It was just something that happened parallel to what I've been doing, so I'm not sure exactly why we don't have an iOS one yet, but I'm sure there will be one.
I guess. Well, I mean, I guess Android is super popular nowadays. I wouldn't know. I've got too much money tied up in the Apple ecosystem. I'm trapped. So, yeah. Well, thanks for giving us the insight into that, because it's really interesting for us, the design aspect for 3D food printing. And there's not too many people you can talk to about it who are also designing apps. And so it's really insightful for us, and also the viewers and the 3D Digital Cooks community, and for anybody else who's going to check out this video to get that type of insight.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, apps is something that's very important to us. I mean, the apps we have are really only 2D at the moment. They kind of extrude 2D, text and drawings. 3D is something which is still, like a proper, easy way to do 3D is something, I don't know when we'll crack that, or if we'll crack that. I mean, that's kind of like another level of complexity, which is, I'm not sure anybody's kind of solved yet. I mean, how to make, crafting accurate 3D models easy for someone who's never used 3D modeling software before, right?
Yeah, I think the way that I normally put it is just what you said. Like nobody else has done it in 3D printing, and it's something that has been around for longer. And the thing is as simple as, like, you're using a 2D interface to design something that is 3D. Mm-hmm. So you're missing always one dimension. So no matter what, so the brain needs to add that dimension, and to do that you need to learn how to do it. So
absolutely, yeah.
That always adds a layer of difficulty to the process. So it's not intuitive. I don't know. Sorry.
I know. I mean,
for my passion moment.
that's okay. Yeah, 3D is difficult, but I mean, there are easy way. I mean, one thing we'd recommend, if there was someone who wanted the machine and they wanted to do something in 3D but they didn't know how to use modeling software, we'd suggest them maybe use like a handheld scanner. I don't know if you ever used a Cubify Sense 3D scanner before. It's just like a £300 handheld thing. Mm-hmm. And we've used one of those relatively successfully and printed things directly from an object we scanned. So that's kind of been the easiest way we've found so far of doing 3D for people who maybe don't know how to model. But
yeah, that's cool. I want to step back a little bit from the design side of it. Well, actually, not that much. But I'm really curious about, going through your website. You guys offer different services. You have obviously the printer. You have also the apps, but also you have the studio. Let me check the name again, because the art studio, is that correct?
Choc Studio, yeah.
Yeah. What can you explain us more about it, and how does it work?
I mean, at the moment, that's still in quite an early stage. The idea behind Choc Edge Studio, when we started that, we had a bit of a bigger team, but there was a time when we were getting a lot of requests for large amounts of personalized chocolates for events and things. So, you know, we said we could try offering that as a service. We kind of set up a website, the web page as a trial, a landing page, the Choc Edge Studio page, and we just thought, you know, we'll see where this goes. I mean, at the moment we're really focused on machine sales. Choc Edge Studio is maybe not our focus anymore, but it was kind of an experiment, really. I mean, we're still offering, if someone came to us and was able to produce X amount of chocolates, we would do it, but it was a kind of testing the market kind of thing. But we've kind of moved away from that a little bit now and are focusing on machine sales, but obviously the page is still there. So, I mean, how it would work, I mean, it's kind of a service we offer, but it's also meant to be inspirational for, you know, people as well, I suppose. They would see this webpage and think, oh, there's something I could do with a chocolate printer. Maybe I could set up something similar. That was another reason for setting up that webpage.
So there's a piece of it also that you're not pushing, but you're also printing chocolate as well. Then that's interesting to know. I'm really curious about. I mean, obviously, if somebody's contacting you to buy a Choc Creator, and it's the latest version, well, what's the sales process like? So when somebody contacts you through the website, you get an email. I mean, I think there's got to be a lot of support. You're going to have a ton of questions. Is there an initial training program that you put them through? Do you have a video series on the back end or something like that? Because I'm sure you're not just dropping off a chocolate printer and saying, thanks for the money, you know.
It doesn't work like that. No. I really wish it did, but unfortunately it doesn't.
Can you walk us through, you know, what it's like to be a Choc Edge customer?
Okay, yeah, sure. So someone will contact us through the contact form on our site, and they're usually the initial email is usually quite short. They say, oh, hey, you know, can I buy a Choc Creator? But I've got a few questions. Would you mind answering them? And so we might say, oh, sure. You know, we'll send them the usual details about the machine, how they go about ordering. At the moment, we don't. It's just a contact form, and we get people to invoice us. We experimented with kind of like an e-commerce shop last year, but it didn't really work out right because inevitably people would just buy the machine directly without asking any questions first, and then they'd have this machine that would land on their doorstep, and they were like, well, how does this work? What have I bought? Or maybe it wasn't what they were expecting, or, you know, that just turned out to be a little bit of a nightmare. So we decided to back away from that. We thought it would be better to go for a more hands-on approach, where we have a conversation first, and then we sell them the machine, and then we, you know, ship and deliver the machine, and then we train the people. So after they send us that email, they ask their questions. You know, it can be quite a long process of, you know, people. I don't think many people read the FAQ on the site. I mean, it is quite long, but then there is a lot of stuff we need to educate people about. So we'll answer all their questions. You know, if we want to buy the machine, they'll pay. We'll ship it to them. I mean, after that, we have kind of like an informal training program at the moment where we will help people via Skype. So we'll sell people the machine. They'll say, oh, I need training on such and such a date. Can you do it then? And we'll say, sure. And, you know, we might sit down for a couple of hours, or it might be a whole day, you know, just showing people how to use the machine, how to prepare the chocolate. And people seem to really respond to that. They like it. I mean, like I say, it's quite informal at the moment, but people, it's so much easier to do things via video. I mean, it's even easier in person, but unfortunately that isn't possible. To do things by video rather than email and, you know, instruction manuals, it's much easier. We can get people, they can get results much quicker, and they're usually a lot happier than they used to be just, you know, buying a machine without any questions or without any conversation. So that's how it works at the moment. Like you say, instructional videos is something we're thinking about. It's something we want to do, and it's something that's on its way. I can't say when that will be, but it's definitely something. You know, I think a lot of things again, we can answer a lot of questions on the website via the FAQ, but there are some things which have to be explained visually. So that's, I think the videos are going to help reduce our workload a lot once they're up.
I think that's really awesome that you do that, for each customer, spending time with them, whether it's a couple hours or a day. I mean, that shows that you're really caring about it, and that's how you're going to create customers for life, really, and get them to stay with you and share about the experience. And I think it also encourages them to push themselves further and further into working with the machine, and not just having another chocolate printer, because everybody has a chocolate printer sitting on some shelf somewhere, so.
Yeah, that's exactly what we don't want to happen. I mean, you say we really want people to share their experiences. One of the things that's kind of, we're getting more now, but we haven't had in the past, is people, actually using the machine and doing their own experiments and discovering their own new things about the machine that they can then pass back to us. I mean, that's what we really want from this, is to, we don't have as much time as we'd like now to experiment and really try things we'd like to try with the machine. But we hope by educating the people that they can, carry things forward a bit further with the design, or try more adventurous, things in 3D printing that they can then pass back to us and say, hey guys, this is what I did with your machine. Isn't this cool? And we'll say, yeah, that's amazing. Let's put it on Facebook. Let's tell people about this. That's the point we really want to get to.
Exactly.
So we've been talking a lot about the Choc Creator. So let's talk a little bit more details about it. I'm curious about two things. Obviously, the first one is how much it costs if somebody wants to buy it, how long it takes to get it, and also I'm curious to know, do you guys suggest the type of chocolate to use to the customers, or I guess that's kind of tricky if you're talking to bakeries and chocolatiers, but.
Yes, so start with the price. The machine, Choc Creator version 2.0 Plus, it costs £2,380, excluding VAT in the UK. Delivery varies from country to country, but that's another maybe £200 to £300, I think, off the top of my head. And then sometimes there's also, an import duty that people have to pay, but we're very upfront about the, the extra costs that are involved in buying it. So that's the cost of the machine. So what was the other question you wanted to recommending the chocolate? The chocolate, we do recommend the chocolate. That's all over the website. It's one of the things we're very particular about, not just the type of chocolate, but how you prepare it. One of the the big issues we've had in the past is people will buy the machine, they'll print something with it and say, well, we haven't got a result like you guys have got. What went wrong? We'll say, well, maybe the temperature was wrong, maybe the chocolate wasn't right, maybe you prepared it wrong. So everything we do now is about getting people to do things. If they want the same results as we get, we try to tell people as much as possible to do things how we do them. So that involves telling them a particular kind of chocolate to use, and a temperature, a specific temperature to have their room at, all these kind of things. So we do tell people what chocolate to use, or at least give them an idea of what kind of chocolate they can use, because we use kind of chocolate called Calabo, which is about 56% cocoa solids. So any other kind of dark chocolate which had a similar chocolate solid content would be okay for printing, but to make sure they get the same results that we get, we do say, yeah, use this kind of chocolate.
That's cool.
I want to give a quick shout out to a couple I met from Turkey at our pre-3D food printing conference meetup a few weeks back. They're from chocncake.com, CHOCNCAKE.com, and that's I always screw up their names. I think it's Guro and Goku. I'm sure that's wrong, but they're experimenting with chocolate and 3D printing, and they're really passionate about to make sure that it's tempered chocolate when you discuss it. And that brings me to the point: do you have an auto temper in the Choc Creator, or Is that coming in the next version? Because I noticed on the site, maybe it's for the older machines, not so much for the new machine, but you recommended some chocolate tempering machine as well. So do people currently have to temper the chocolate before putting it in their machine, or is that handled in the machine now?
Yeah, the tempering happens separately. It's not in the machine.
Okay.
We do have like our own automatic tempering machine that we use.
Okay.
It's something we've experimented with in the past, having the tempering machine in the actual printer itself, and I can't say for sure. It possibly maybe could be in a future machine. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be a good idea if they could get it right. But I think introducing that into the machine would, also introduce a whole new set of problems and difficulties with printing. So I think that would take a lot of development before we got to that stage. But at the moment, the chocolate is tempered separately, it's prepared, and then it's put into the machine.
Yeah. No, because that's a tough part, because you have to temper it correctly, then you have to have the right chocolate. I mean, the drama queen here, this high maintenance. She's one high maintenance food, and that's exciting. This is a lot of fun. I think we could probably talk a long time about this Choc creator here.
Yeah, I was actually, I don't know if that's possible or not. I don't know if you have one around, or even if you can move your computer or not, or if that's asking too much.
No, that's cool. I can't show it working today. I haven't got any chocolate on because the equipment's quite noisy. I didn't want it to interfere with the broadcast, the streaming. But
Okay.
I can show you the machine if I just move my camera.
That would be awesome.
If you want to start it, go ahead, because I'm sure I'm much more interested in your machine than I am about hearing my own voice anyway. So,
I'll show you how it all works. I won't put any chocolate in it, but I can give you kind of like a dry run. Okay,
Awesome.
Let me see how. Oh, there you go. So this is. Sorry, there you go.
Wow.
So let's see. Can I get a good angle on this? Sorry. I'm trying to. So that is.
Louis, you should mute your microphone so that the sound doesn't get mixed up.
So this is where we load the chocolate. So I have a syringe. So the metal syringe goes in here. Sorry, this is. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get this. There you go, that's the print bed. You can see that's something I tried printing this morning for a potential customer. So somebody came to us, and they're based in Spain, in Cadiz, I believe. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. But they wanted like a chocolate model of a monument they have there. So I said, oh, we can try printing it if you supply the 3D model. So it didn't turn out that great, but it's that's about as good where is it gone? That's about as good as you'll get for a 3D printed version of their model in chocolate. But it's meant to be it's called Mita del Mundo. It's the middle of the world monument. It's meant to be like a big stone plinth with a globe on top. But sometimes you have to go through this process of printing something, even if you don't think it's going to work, because they say, oh, we really want this thing in chocolate, and they're very persistent. And you kind of say, well, it may or may not work. So even if it doesn't work so well, it's good just to print it and show them what is possible and what isn't possible. So this is the LCD screen. I'm not sure how well it's coming out. Yeah, but I'm not sure if you can see the text on the screen. It's a very nice touch screen. We have a stylus, but you can use your fingers as well. So I'm gonna try loading some chocolate now, some imaginary chocolate, because I haven't got any tempered. So we're going to select the 30 milliliter option. Press next. We'll confirm. So I've confirmed that now. I put the the thing in, and maybe if I put that on it'll be easier than trying to hold it while I do all this. Sorry, this is very exciting for you viewers. That's better. So I'm not sure if there's a USB stick in the machine, but we have some designs which are preloaded onto the machine. So if you just want to test something or you want to print something that's already on there, you can do that. Once we've loaded the chocolate, you have to set the initial height of the printer, the print head. So we're going to set that to 40 at the moment. Now this is going to squeak a little bit. I need to oil the machine to do a bit of maintenance so it doesn't squeak so much. So I'm going to save that height. And then we can set something printing. So I don't know if you can see on the screen there, but it tells you how long the print takes and how much chocolate is extruded and the temperature the machine is working at. So it's got quite an intelligent display on the machine. The temperature on the machine actually tells you what the temperature of the printhead is. So inside this metal printhead there's a metal cylinder which is heated. So that keeps the chocolate at a constant temperature. It matches the temperature that the chocolate comes out the temperature machine at. And we also have LCD thermometer in the room. So if you can see there, it's backwards. It's about 24.8 in the degrees Celsius in our room at the moment, which is a little bit too warm for printing chocolate. But if we was doing some printing today, we would open doors and windows and things and cool it down to around 21 degrees. So the print bed is metal, and we usually print onto paper, which we hold in place using little magnets that come with the machine. I mean, that's about it for machine operation. I mean, it's really so it's really quite a simple process if you have your design ready made.
Thanks a lot for showing to us the Choc Creator 2+. I think it's pretty cool.
That's right. Yeah. So this is one of the early ones that were built. The latest models come with Wi-Fi built in, so you can connect via Wi-Fi using our software, or like I mentioned earlier, the app. So there's Wi-Fi connectivity now in all machines that ship out.
I wanna before Lewis makes us hang up here because we're going too long, because we could go for hours. But I kind of want to ask about the inspiration behind the hardware design. So the machine, it doesn't exactly look like a 3D printer too much if you've never seen a 3D printer before. What it kind of reminds me of is it supposed to go into a wall? Is it supposed to be mounted on a wall or something? It looks like it should be mounted on something. Or
no,
can you explain to us a little bit of the design process behind the latest machine?
Yeah, I mean, you can see I don't have. Actually, can I if I could go out to the other room a sec, I can show you the evolution of the Choc Creator. I've got one of our very first machines, please. And I can show you the second generation. That might be more interesting.
Yeah, please.
Wow, I think it's really, huh?
Some VIP access here, the evolution of the 3D chocolate printer. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think I'm going to say it again, but like they have a long history, and that is really cool because you see all the all the progress that they have done based on the customer feedback, and that's amazing.
I'm not sure how this is going to work. All right, hold on a sec. Just put my headphones back in. Okay, so I'm going to hold this up now. This is it's quite heavy. So this is the prototype. Oh, let's see, that's better. So this is like the very first version of the machine. You can see it's a bit more, looks a bit more like a traditional 3D printer. So it's very basic, very bare bones, very simple. The syringe, it held like a 10 milliliter plastic syringe. It didn't look so pretty. It wasn't so accurate.
It's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. I like it. It kind of reminds me.
It's a beautiful girl in my eyes.
I kind of like it because everything's accessible. You know, you don't have to take a case off to access all the bits. You can just, if there's a problem, you can tighten nuts and bolts without having to.
You're not going to get that into Mrs. Johnson's kitchen.
No, but I have a lot of affection for this this one.
That's really cool.
It's really cool. It's that was one of the main factors when I first got involved with 3D printing was by choosing the Mendel 90 was because Nub had designed a not only in my eyes the best functional wise 3D printer that was available at the time, but and still is in my opinion, but also it didn't look like it was going to jump off the table and take a bite out of you if you were near it, like something from Terminator or something like that. And that's what the first version of Choc Edge looks like. It might be tough to get that in some chocolatier's restaurant or some chocolatier in studio or something like that. But your latest machine definitely looks a little bit more appealing.
Yeah, I can show you the in-between model is behind me there. So if you can see this machine here, so that's kind of like that's basically the body of the prototype refined a little bit, but with a case put on it. So it's quite big and chunky and heavy. But that was the precursor to the machine we have today. There's no LCD panel. It's it's really just a 3D printer with a slightly better looking case put on top.
Yeah, it reminds.
Yeah, that was one cool. Oh, go ahead, Louis.
It reminds me a little bit to kind of like a fancy coffee espresso machine, but I think that's cool.
Yeah.
From the black.
Yeah. He was talking about design inspiration. I think definitely coffee machines are something that the person who designed the machine had in mind when they were making it. It's something we've talked about a lot. That's kind of parallel kind of to what we're doing. That's it's an attractive high-tech machine that's sort of in a food environment. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of influence from coffee machines there, I would say. Let
me ask you something. Is the Plus version the first one that has like a heated cylinder for the syringe?
No, the version 2 had a heated backplate. The 2 Plus is the first one that has a heated cylinder that goes all the way around the syringe.
Okay.
So it's a more even kind of heating, and it's a lot more accurate as well.
Yeah. Do you think that had a really good impact in the prints that you're having? Because lately, for example, I see a lot of more pictures from you guys with more 3D models and more stunning prints, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it definitely had an impact in terms of the length of time we can print. Previously, without the heating, you would be able to print for maybe 20 minutes before the chocolate started to set in the syringe. With the heating, that's a lot longer. So, although you can print for longer than an hour, we usually say, keep it to under an hour in terms of print time length if you don't want the chocolate to lose its qualities. If you go over an hour, the chocolate, it doesn't necessarily set, but it kind of loses its tempered qualities and it doesn't print so well. So all our prints tend to take an hour or under, and that wouldn't be possible without the heated syringe.
That's really cool. That was my geeky question, sorry.
No, and
Yeah, no,
to keep, sorry, like I said before, it's very important to keep it to about 31, 32 degrees, which is the same temperature it comes outside the out of the temperature machine. Because you don't want the chocolate, from the chocolate's perspective, it can't have moved anywhere. It has to be in the same condition, the same environment, the same temperature if you don't want it to change or become untempered.
from the chocolate's perspective, that's a good way to say
I
it.
kind of, this
It does
is,
have its own brain, doesn't it?
that's exactly the way I think of it. It's like I spent so long struggling to understand the chocolate. I just had to kind of like imagine myself, what's it like to be like a, you know, a molecule of chocolate? I know what's it like if you're inside that chocolate stream. And
It sounds like you're married to the chocolate, Mark. Really.
it feels like it sometimes. It's been a tough marriage, let me tell you. And maybe I've cheated a little bit with icing sugar, but no, it's we made it work. Yeah.
I think it's really cool to see what you guys are doing, to know how long you've been doing it, and I think it's really interesting for everybody who's going to watch this video. And I could have so many more questions. You know, we could probably make this last all day, but I won't hold you up too much longer. Lewis, do you got anything else that you wanted to go at Mark with?
Sure. I think it's always cool to wrap up the awesome interviews with asking you your personal thoughts about how do you see 3D printing evolving in the future?
Okay, my geeky answer to that is like the pinnacle of the evolution. I kind of hope is like the Star Trek food replicators, where you just push a button and you can, you know, have any meal you want, any flavor, any shape. You know, that's kind of where I hope it goes. But I don't know, in the near future, I just think it'll be another way to a new, you know, really fun way to experience food. Yeah, I mean, I've often said, you know, what we talk about a lot here is that food printing, you know, you'll be able to control the calorific content of your meals and be able to, you know, create more attractive, healthier food options. I mean, one thing I always say is I think it'd be a great way of getting kids to eat their vegetables if you could like 3D print a carrot in the shape of like a minion or something, or some kind of character. They, you know, maybe they don't want to like eating the vegetables, but they might eat it if it was in like a more appealing shape. So that's kind of where I hope it goes.
It's definitely going that route. I feel we've talked with a lot of people and they have some opinions like that as well. I wrote a long article about similar ideas, and it's got a long way to grow. And speaking to you and Choc Edge, being so early on involved in it is something fun for us.
Yeah, for me it's been a pleasure. I don't know if any of you wants to add anything else. If not, we will wrap it up because I think it's been already a little bit.
Do you have any upcoming events or anything you want to promote to people in the 3D food printing community on this video interview series, Mark?
At the moment, we haven't got anything lined up, unfortunately, but I'll let you guys know if that changes. But
also please let us know how people can contact with you. How can they buy one of your printers, like just to make it easier for them?
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, what kind of a marketing person would I be if I didn't plug the machine or the website shop? Yeah, if you want to contact us, it's info@chocedge.com. We're on Twitter, we're at chocedge.com. Facebook is like /Choc Edge Limited, I think. If you want to buy the machine, you go to the website, which is very simple. It's just chocedge.com. You find the shop there. Get in touch. Let us know if you want a machine, and we'll help you out.
Well, we really wish you and Choc Edge all the best. You know, as I've kind of hinted at through the emails, you know, we'll be at FabCon Germany doing a 3D food printing workshop, and we'd love to see you guys there. You know, maybe get a chance to get our hands on one of the Choc Edge machines if we could. So On behalf of Lewis, Mark, thank you very much to you and Choc Edge, to your whole team for pushing 3D chocolate printing forward. And thanks for joining us today.
That's my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. I'm sure, like you guys, I could talk about it all day. There's a lot to share, but I don't want to overload your brains with chocolate or yeah, choc edginess.
That's pretty cool. So let's make it just the first one. We can keep talking another day. I think that's always awesome.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk again, definitely. I'd love to do this again. That'd be great.
That sounds awesome. I will keep your word on that.
Okay, cool.
So for everybody who's watching, if you want to see more 3D food printing interviews, the video interview series, or news, or check out our 3D food printing podcasts, head to 3digitalcooks.com. You can also email Lewis and I at jason@3digitalcooks.com or lewis@3digitalcooks.com. Of course, we're on Twitter, Facebook, all the social medias at 3digitalcooks. Thanks everybody for checking out this video interview series with 3D food printing experts of the world by 3 Digital Cooks, and see you next time. Ciao.
See ya.